Imagine if, in a parallel universe, that classic car from our memories was never discontinued. Instead, it inherited and evolved the brand's futuristic dreams right up to the present day. What would that even feel like? Hello everyone, I'm Young. In my childhood memories, the most common cars on the street in China was Santana Jetta and Fukang. However, as a product of the Maverick French, the Fukang really did have a more distinct temperament in its styling, even having a slightly futuristic feel. Entering China in the 90s, the Fukang was based on the Citroën ZX. Historically, Citroën's avant-garde engineering and design simply felt like they belonged to another era. In the 80s and 90s, concept-like production cars like the BX and XM perfectly showcased the brand's signature futuristic styling, right around the time the Fukang hit the Chinese market. As the younger sibling, the ZX, or Fukang, should naturally inherit the futuristic DNA of its two big brothers, right? Well, I'm talking about this modified one. If we look at the original stock Fukang, that DNA is actually super weak. As a compact car, its proportions are just not as stretched out as its larger siblings. And when it was brought to China, crucial visual elements like the front grille and wheels were downgraded to much more subdued, conservative versions. All these factors suppressed the sharper design language the Fukang was meant to have, essentially sealing away its true potential for years. Ultimately, a futuristic Fukang build is all about tweaking and extending its original foundation, figuring out exactly how to unlock that seal. Next, let's dive into the details of what we changed on this car. Looking at the front end first, the most important element is this Citroën logo. Starting in the early 2000s, Citroën tried to stop treating the badge as an isolated graphic. Instead, they integrated it into the front lines, seamlessly bridging the grille and the headlights. This outward stretching badge is really the key hallmark dividing modern and classic Citroën. Even though the brand has updated its logo as it pivots to EVs, in my mind, this horizontal design still perfectly captures the futuristic vision of the French. For the lights, we changed the front cover into one solid, continuous clear piece. This layered design is directly inspired by an even older, super sci-fi Citroën. Initially, the front elements felt a little monotonous, so we added these vertical lines to the cover that gradually fade out as they reach the center logo, just to give it some extra visual richness. We started by 3D printing a half-scale prototype for a lighting test. The texture effect actually looks pretty good. When making the final version, budget reasons meant using a cheap silicone mold with poured epoxy. That first sample came out feeling fine, but the color was mixed way too dark, and since our vacuum pump was underpowered, the trapped bubbles completely killed the clarity.
This should be our third housing, totally full of bubbles. This one's the fourth. The silicone mold was losing its durability, so it just cracked upon demolding since the middle was too thin. And this was actually the second one. The epoxy we picked was garbage, so it yellowed.
Eventually, we had no choice but to restart. We gave up on the fine textures and just used heat to shape a smooth PC board, though the process did end up costing my best friend 3 of his bathroom heat lamps. And as for what these shapes inside actually do, honestly, nothing. It's really just a concept model showing the basic layout, letting you know the top section is for ambient lighting and the bottom handles the high and low beams. Moving on to the side profile, the Citroën family has always had one defining design trait, a really short rear overhang. While shrinking that rear overhang is great for rear passenger space, a car where the rear is shorter than the front just gives off a slightly weird proportion. Because visually, there's a trick to car profiles. A longer rear and short front suggests fast acceleration, which naturally looks great. But the exact opposite, a short rear and long front, looks like the car is braking hard, giving you a pretty awkward feeling. So when redesigning the Fukang's side profile, I had one very clear goal: visually shrink the front overhang and stretch out the rear. To do this, I pushed the front volume as far back as possible and cleaned up the rear silhouette to give the tail a clear outward extension. Once the overall proportions were locked in, we moved to details, like this side window. To fix the slightly pudgy stock proportions of the original Fukang, I blacked out the B-pillar. Hiding it minimizes the vertical lines, forcing the eye to read the car horizontally instead. Over here on the front door, I added a recess to expand the dark visual block of the side window. This essentially compresses the lighter body panels, making them look leaner and thinner, which further stretches out that horizontal stance. As for what this door recess actually does, well, it just hides a single turn signal. But hey, maybe in a Cyberpunk game, it could scan your ID to unlock the doors or act as a flowing digital display. Or maybe it really is an extension of the glass, giving you a wider view from the cockpit. But for now, we'll just have to leave all those fun little details up to our imagination. Let's keep moving to the rear. The original Fukang had this really distinct C and D pillar setup. Early concepts were very decisive. Either hide the C pillar completely with a floating roof, or make it a strong interlocking border between body panels. But the final production model was just an awkward compromise. Not to say one style is strictly better, but when it comes to pure styling exercises, I want a dominant logic in the macro graphics. So I merged the slender C and D pillars into one unified thick C pillar, using the venting louvers from the Citroën BX for the detailing. Especially on a compact hatchback, a strong C pillar just gives the car a much sharper, more satisfying stance. But honestly, that still didn't feel radical enough, so I pushed the rear window further inward to really amplify the 3D depth of the C pillar. As for the flat deck this created, well, due to my own fabrication limits, I just have to finish it in my imagination. Maybe there's an absolute monster of an engine hiding underneath. Or maybe it's a hatch for a weapons cache. Or maybe a drone launch pad. Or perhaps something actually practical. When it comes to blending this beefy C-pillar with the roof, there's a design approach I've always been obsessed with. I look directly to the Fiat X19, although on that specific model, it actually functions as a Targa roll hoop. But applying this kind of structural design to a fixed roof compact like the Fukang doesn't look out of place at all. In fact, it really brings out a distinct futuristic vibe. Heading to the back, we went with the continuous light bar design seen on the original Citroën. The housing span was short enough that we could just 3D print the whole thing. The face of the lens is almost vertical, so we didn't have to stress about gravity ruining the 3D print. Also, since this car is just for static display, things like UV aging and heat warping are completely off the worry list. Why do I love lights you can't make eye contact with? It kills that creature-like vibe. Without a fixed facial expression makes people to focus on the broader aspects of cars' physical form instead. It isn't about looking better, it's about more possibilities and a richer canvas for the imagination. For a personal preference or just fun build, I'll always delete the biological face to maximize that imaginative space. Next, the wheels. On builds pushing a futuristic vibe, like concept cars, you'll see massive, closed-off designs that ditch traditional radial spokes to focus heavily on concentric lines. Personally, I prefer to design with the wheel's natural motion in mind. Since wheels are constantly spinning, using concentric lines just makes way more sense visually. Designing purely for looks hurts practicality, making it rare on production cars. But that exact rarity delivers the ultimate key to futuristic styling, a sense of the unfamiliar. Nailing a futuristic vibe sometimes isn't about actual high-tech, it's about creating an unfamiliarity disconnected from today. Even if recycling retro cues to unlock that alternate reality imagination is all I need. Building this Fukong was my way of chasing that exact imagination. It's about pulling the car into those wild, non-existent timelines just to get a glimpse of what Citroën was always meant to be in a parallel universe.
Finally, a massive shout out to Blackma for truly understanding my design and dropping $20,000 to bring this childhood mod idea to life. Moving forward, I'll keep coming up with more interesting designs and try to drain even more of Blackma's budget. Please like, share, and save this video to support us in making more fun builds. Thank you.